I didn't notice the change immediately. That's how these things always start. Not with screams, not with shadows, but with something so small you ignore it. My daughter Lily had always slept facing the door. Always. It made her feel safe, she said. She wanted to see us if we came in. The night she turned toward the wall, I should have paid attention. It was 1:42 a.m. when the baby monitor made a soft crackling sound. I rolled over, half asleep, expecting to see her tossing in bed. Instead, Lily was sitting upright, her small back perfectly straight, her face inches from the wall. She wasn't moving. "Lily," I whispered, leaning closer to the screen. Her lips moved. "He doesn't want me to look at you," she said quietly. Every part of my body went cold. I stood up and walked toward her room, telling myself she was dreaming. Kids talk in their sleep. That's normal. But when I opened the door, Lily slowly lay back down without turning her head. Still facing the wall. I picked her up. Her eyes were closed. Her breathing was calm. She smelled like her shampoo. Nothing about her felt wrong, except the way her fingers tightened around my shirt when I carried her back to bed. The next morning, she remembered nothing. That night, I installed a second camera. I told my wife I was just being careful. She didn't argue. She had seen Lily too. At exactly 1:42 a.m., both cameras activated. Lily sat up again, facing the wall. "He's closer now," she whispered. My wife squeezed my hand. "Who is he?" Lily didn't answer us. She pressed her palm flat against the wall. "He sleeps there during the day," she said. "At night, he stands." The camera feed glitched for half a second. Just one frame. But I saw it clearly. A shape pushing outward from the wall. Not stepping through it. Pressing against it. I ran to her room. The wall was ice cold. Colder than the rest of the house. Lily's hand was still there, flat, like she was touching someone on the other side. "We're moving her room," I said. We carried her mattress into the living room and laid her down between us. She fell asleep instantly. At 1:42 a.m., she sat up again, facing the same direction, toward the wall she couldn't even see. "He followed," she whispered. The lights flickered. The air felt thick. And then we heard it. 3 slow taps, from inside the wall. I realized then that whatever was in our house wasn't tied to a room. It was tied to my daughter, and she knew exactly when it would wake up. After that night, sleep stopped meaning rest. Every time I closed my eyes, I waited for 1:42 a.m. Not because I wanted answers, but because I knew it would come whether I was ready or not. We didn't send Lily to school the next day. My wife stayed with her in the living room while I examined the wall in her bedroom. I knocked on it. Solid. No hollow sound, no cracks. Nothing that explained the cold or the shape I had seen on the camera. Still, I tore the wallpaper off. Behind it was another layer. Old, yellowed, like it had been there for decades. And carved into it, barely visible unless the light hit it just right, were shallow marks. Long vertical lines, uneven, as if someone had dragged their fingers down the wall over and over again. I stopped when I reached the corner. There, scratched into the plaster, was a sentence. "Don't let them turn around." I felt my throat tighten. I stepped back so fast I almost fell. That evening, Lily sat quietly on the couch, drawing. I watched her hands more than her face. She drew our house. Then she drew herself. Then she drew the wall, and something tall behind it. "He doesn't like when you touch his room," she said without looking up. My wife looked at me. "What did you do today?" "Nothing," I lied. At 1:40 a.m., we were already awake. Lily lay between us, holding my hand. Her eyes were open. "He's awake," she whispered. The temperature dropped. Not slowly. Suddenly, like a switch had been flipped. The lights dimmed, then returned to normal. At 1:42 a.m., Lily sat up, facing the wall, but this time her body didn't move. Her head did. It turned slowly, too slowly to look back at us. My wife screamed. Lily's face was calm, but her eyes weren't hers. They were focused past us, like she was watching something stand behind us. "He says you broke the rule," Lily said. Her voice sounded flatter now, distant. "What rule?" I asked, my heart pounding. "You looked," she replied. "You're not supposed to look." The wall made a sound like wood bending under pressure. I grabbed Lily and pulled her back down, forcing her to face us. The moment I did, she screamed. Not like a child, but like someone in pain. The sound stopped instantly. The house went silent. Lily collapsed against me, shaking. "He doesn't like being ignored," she sobbed. "He says if I don't face him, he'll come out." That was the first time we heard his voice. Not clearly, not fully, just a whisper bleeding through the wall, layered under Lily's breathing. "Soon," it said. We packed bags that night, threw clothes into suitcases, grabbed documents, Lily's favorite toy. We were leaving before morning. At 1:42 a.m., the front door wouldn't open. The handle turned, the lock clicked. The door didn't move. From the hallway, the wall knocked again. 3 taps. Lily looked at me, terrified. "He says this is his house," she whispered. "We're the ones who moved in." The knocking stopped, and from inside the wall came the sound of something shifting. Slow, heavy, like a body adjusting its weight. That was when I understood the truth we had been avoiding. The wall wasn't a barrier, it was a door. And whatever was behind it was waiting for Lily to turn around again. Because next time, it wouldn't stop at watching. We didn't sleep after that. There was no point pretending morning would fix anything. The house felt different now, aware, like it knew we were trying to leave. At sunrise, the front door opened easily. That alone scared me more than if it had stayed locked. We drove Lily to my sister's house across town. She lived in a newer apartment building. Concrete walls. No history. I told myself the thing wouldn't follow us there. It was tied to the wall. To the house. I was wrong. Lily didn't speak during the drive. She stared out the window, her reflection faint in the glass. "He's quiet when we move," she finally said. "He doesn't like traveling." My sister welcomed us without questions. Lily sat on the couch, hugged her stuffed rabbit, and seemed normal again. I almost believed we were safe. At 1:42 a.m., my sister's hallway light turned on by itself. Lily sat up on the couch, facing the wall. The one wall that shared space with another apartment. My sister screamed. I grabbed Lily, spun her around to face me. The moment I did, she gasped like she'd been pulled underwater. Her eyes rolled back for a second before she came back to herself, crying. "He followed us," she sobbed. "He says walls are just places people forget to watch." We left immediately. By noon, I was back at our house alone. My wife stayed with Lily in the car, engine running. I needed answers. Real ones, not whispers from a wall. I went to the city records office. Old property files, complaints, renovation permits. There were no reports of deaths in the house, but there were reports of disappearances. Over the last 70 years, 5 families had lived there. Each family had a child between the ages of 5 and 8. Each family reported the same thing before leaving. The child would wake up at the same time every night, always facing the wall. And in 3 cases, the child vanished. No signs of forced entry, no struggle, just gone. The files labeled it voluntary runaway. One note stood out, from a contractor hired 30 years ago to remodel the house. Client insisted wall remain untouched, said it was load-bearing, despite blueprints proving otherwise. Client claimed opening it would let them turn. I drove back home shaking. Inside the house, the air was colder than before. The wall in Lily's room was no longer flat. It bulged slightly outward. I pressed my hand against it. Something pressed back. A memory hit me then. Not mine, but something Lily had said weeks ago that I'd ignored. "He doesn't like adults," she had whispered one night. "They're too heavy. They don't fit." The wall creaked. A voice leaked through, clearer now. "She fits." I tore into the wall with a hammer. Plaster cracked. Dust filled the room. The hammer struck something hard. Not brick. Wood. A door frame. Sealed inside the wall. Carved into it were dozens of handprints. Small ones. Overlapping. Pressed deep, as if the wood had been soft when they touched it. Behind me, the house groaned. The door handle moved on its own. From the hallway came the sound of slow footsteps. Not approaching. Pacing. Waiting. My phone buzzed. A text from my wife. "Lily keeps saying he's angry. She says you looked again." The door in the wall began to open, just a crack. And through it, I saw darkness that wasn't empty. Darkness shaped like someone standing perfectly still. I realized then what the thing was. It wasn't trapped in the wall. It was being fed. Every child who turned around made it stronger. And Lily was running out of time. I don't remember leaving the house, only that I was suddenly outside, gasping like I'd been underwater. The wall door slammed shut behind me, the sound echoing through the entire house. The bulge vanished. The room looked normal again. Too normal, like it was pretending. My phone buzzed again. Wife. She keeps saying you made him angry. He wants you to come back. That's when I understood the real rule. It wasn't, don't let them turn around. It was, don't look behind the wall. Ever. I drove to the public library instead of going home. Old newspapers. Archived microfilm. If this thing had been fed for decades, someone must have known how to stop it. It took hours, but I found it. A small article from 52 years ago. A house fire. Same address. Same room. The headline read, Child survives, father missing. The article said the father had gone into the child's bedroom during the fire and never come out. No body was recovered. The fire stopped at one wall as if it had hit something solid and refused to cross. A handwritten note was scanned at the bottom of the article, added years later by an editor. The family refused to answer questions. Mother claimed her husband went where the wall opens. I went back to the house at sunset. The wall was warm now, not hot, warm like skin. I didn't touch it. Instead, I sat on Lily's bed and spoke aloud. I know what you are. The wall didn't respond. You're not a ghost, I continued. You're a space. A place people made by accident. The lights flickered once. I remembered something from the property files. No blueprints ever showed that wall as load-bearing. It wasn't structural. It was added. Someone had built it on purpose. I went to the basement and found old support beams sealed behind newer wood. Behind one beam was a narrow crawl space leading directly under Lily's room. The air inside was thick and damp. The farther I crawled, the warmer it became. I reached the space beneath the wall. Above me, I heard breathing. Slow, patient. I know why you need children, I said, my voice shaking. They can turn without breaking. Adults can't. The breathing paused. You take them because they fit, I said. But you keep the ones who look back. Silence. Then a whisper drifted through the wood. They stay. No, I said. They're used. The temperature dropped sharply. I felt it then. Anger, not loud, not violent, controlled. You broke the rule, the thing whispered. Now you replace. That night, Lily stopped sleeping entirely. She sat awake, eyes glassy, fighting the pull of the wall. My wife held her, crying, begging me to fix it. At 1:42 a.m., Lily stiffened. He says one of you has to stay, she whispered. So I can leave. The wall knocked once, not 3 times. Once? A choice. I remembered the article, the father who went missing, the fire that stopped. He hadn't died. He had stayed. I turned to my wife. She shook her head, already knowing. No, there has to be another way. There isn't, Lily said softly. He says this is how it's always been. The wall warmed again. Waiting. I knelt in front of Lily and held her face. If I go, will you be free? She nodded, tears streaming. He says you fit better than me now. I stood up, and for the first time since this started, the wall went completely still, as if it knew it had won. I didn't tell my wife goodbye properly. If I did, I wouldn't have been able to move. Some words are too heavy to carry and walk at the same time. At 1:41 a.m., the house felt calm, not peaceful, prepared, like everything was exactly where it needed to be. Lily sat on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, her eyes locked on me. She wasn't crying anymore. That scared me more than anything. He's ready, she said softly. He says don't be afraid. That makes it hurt longer. The wall was warm now, warmer than before, almost alive. I knelt and hugged Lily tightly. You don't turn around. Ever, I whispered. No matter what you hear? She nodded. I know, he told me the same thing. Before. That sentence hit me like a punch. Before? But the wall knocked once. The choice had expired. I stepped closer. The surface of the wall rippled just slightly, like water reacting to movement underneath. A seam appeared down the center. Thin at first, then wider. The door I had seen before revealed itself again. Not wood anymore. but something darker, older. It opened inward. The space behind it wasn't empty. It was a hallway, narrow, endless, lined with walls that looked exactly like ours. Same color, same texture, same cracks. But there were no doors. Only outlines where doors had once been. "You won't get lost," the thing whispered. "You'll remember where you belong." I stepped inside. The door closed behind me without a sound. The air smelled like dust and something familiar. Aftershave. Old soap. Homes. I walked. As I moved forward, shapes began to appear in the walls. Faces pressed from the inside. Adult faces. Men. Some crying. Some staring straight ahead, eyes hollow. Fathers. They weren't trapped. They were holding the walls up. I stopped in front of one face that looked younger than the rest. His mouth moved. "Did she make it out?" he whispered. "Yes," I said, my throat tight. He smiled, relief softening his features. Then his face slowly flattened back into the wall, becoming part of it. I kept walking. Time didn't work here. My watch stopped. My thoughts slowed. The farther I went, the heavier my body felt, like gravity increased with every step. That's when I understood the truth. The thing didn't live in the wall. It lived in the space made by sacrifice. Every parent who stayed expanded it, strengthened it, made room for the next child. I heard Lily's voice echo faintly. "Daddy?" I froze. The walls pulsed. "She turned," the thing said calmly. "She looked." "No," I said. "She wouldn't." "She did," it replied, "because you didn't tell her everything." The hallway began to close in, walls pressing, faces shifting. The fathers around me strained, their expressions tightening, holding the space open. "She heard you," the thing continued. "She felt you leave. That breaks the rule." Panic flooded me. I ran forward, pushing against the weight, screaming her name. The hallway shook violently, cracks spreading through the walls. Then I heard another voice. My wife's. Clear, strong. "She didn't turn around," she said. I did. The hallway stopped moving. The thing was silent. For the first time since I entered, the pressure eased. "She offered herself," it whispered slowly. "That changes things." The walls around me trembled. Not with anger, but uncertainty. I felt something new then. Hope. The door behind me began to form again. Not opening, waiting. And I realized the final rule, the one no one had ever written down. The wall only wins when someone chooses it alone. The door didn't open all the way. It never does. It only opens enough to remind you that leaving is possible, but never free. I stood in the hallway of walls, feeling the pressure ease for the first time since I entered. The faces of the fathers around me shifted, watching, listening. Hope moved through them like a quiet breath. "She offered herself," the thing repeated, not angry, curious. "That wasn't the deal," I said. "You take one, you always take one." The walls creaked softly, adjusting. Rules change when someone understands them. The door behind me widened another inch. I felt myself being pulled backward, not violently, but gently, like the house was exhaling me. As I crossed the threshold, I heard the fathers whisper in unison, "Don't forget us." The door closed. I collapsed onto the bedroom floor, gasping. The wall was flat again, cold, lifeless, just a wall. I ran. Lily was in the living room, pressed against my wife's chest. She was shaking but awake, her eyes clear. When she saw me, she screamed my name and ran into my arms. "It's gone," she sobbed. "He's quiet now." I looked at my wife. She was standing. But something about her was wrong. She was facing the wall. Not frozen, not possessed, just still. I stepped between her and the wall. "Hey, look at me." She blinked like she was waking from a deep sleep. Her knees buckled, and I caught her. "I heard him," she whispered. "He sounded like you." That was the price. The wall hadn't taken her. It had taken something from her. We moved out that morning. Didn't pack, didn't explain, just left. The house was sold 3 months later, renovated, the wall removed completely. Nothing was found behind it. Years passed. Lily grew up. She never slept facing walls, not once. She said it made her uncomfortable, though she couldn't explain why. My wife never fully recovered her sleep. Some nights she'd wake up at 1:42 a.m. exactly, heart racing, like she was late for something she couldn't remember. As for me, I check walls. Everywhere we go, hotels, apartments, other people's homes. I press my palm flat and wait. Sometimes, very rarely, I feel warmth, and sometimes, if the house is quiet enough, I hear it. Breathing. I used to think the wall was evil. I don't anymore. It's hungry. And hunger doesn't end. It only waits. Last week, Lily asked me a question I've been dreading for years. Dad, she said, why do I remember a place I've never been? I didn't answer. That night at 1:42 a.m., I woke up standing in the hallway, facing the wall, and behind me, my wife whispered, "Don't turn around, because some rules don't die. They just learn new houses."